Now we move to the assembler directive. Basically, assembler directives are just the English word that are not basically the instruction sets of assembly language. They are just a facilitator, or they can used for some specific tasks. There are few assembler directives that are basically EQU, that is a short form of equate, then DB, that is basically for defined byte, then DW, that is basically for defined words. Now I'll explain each one with the relevant example. For example, if you want to use the directive of DB, that is basically used for defining any variable. For example, if you want to define a variable and initiate that variable with some value, for example, as you do in C language, that's for example int I is equal to 0. And if you want to make such variables in assembly language, the syntax is, first of all you will be placing the name of that variable. Then you will be using a directive. For example, here in that case you will be using a DB, defined byte, and then there will be the initial value that is being allocated to that variable. For example, if I say VAR1, that will be considered as a name, then there will be a space, then defined byte is basically used as a directive, then 100. So it will be assumed that the initial value of variable 1 will be 100, and the type of that will be defined byte. Then you can also use the DW, that is the directive for the defined word. Then if you want to use any other alphanumeric or numeric values in the name, you are not allowed to do that. You can use the underscore instead of space, because space is considered as to be the differentiate between operation, operand, and so on. So basically you can use if you want to, for example, relevant naming, for example machine temperature. So machine temperature, if you write in combine, that will be difficult for the user to understand or difficult for the other programmer to understand. You can separate it by underscore, define machine underscore temperature or something like that. Then if you want to declare arrays in assembly language, basically the arrays are just the sequence of memories. For that you just need to place the name, then the directive, and then you will be placing all the values that you want to store in that array variable by placing or separating with a comma value. For example, comma. For example, if you want to store 10h, 20h, 30h in a variable called array underscore 3 byte, so you can separate that 10h, 20h, 30h with a comma.